Options Trader back with you again. Hope everybody had a great Christmas, and I hope we go into a good new year going on here. Be nice if this market cooperated with us a little bit going into the new year. Will it rally? Will it fall? Will it go sideways? You know, I'll take either one except sideways. Sideways has been kind of brutal. So let's see where we're at now. Well, last week I expected a lot of small body candles, a lot of small body days, as I posted on my blog, and it was looking good until Thursday. And Thursday, the half day, man, we had a pretty strong move for half a day. Of course, we had terrible volume, as I thought. Volatility wasn't as bad as I thought it might be. Usually low volume, or a lot of times, not usually I won't say, a lot of times low volume can lead to high volatility because trades can move. It doesn't take many traders to move the market then. Anyway, so let's see where we're at. Let's start with the VIX here. Here we've got the VIX, and you can see this broadening pattern if you remember it from a few weeks ago where we started watching possibly form. I thought maybe we're breaking out of it here. We gapped up, came back down, moved up, but you can see really now it's pretty evident that we've made a series of lower highs here on the VIX, starting with this, peak here, then down here on 1127, and here was our high on 12.9, and here's our high on 12.18. So now if you look at these lines here, let's see, it looks like there's no reason we shouldn't be able to go down here and make a lower low. Of course, we can stop out anywhere, but it would make sense to reach down to the bottom of this broadening pattern somewhere. Okay, now obviously, like I said, it can stall out right here if it wants to. We can do whatever the heck it wants. But the VIX is below 20 now. That usually leads to a lot of complacency in the market, and it could lead to some movement up in the market. Now, I don't know if that's what is going to happen based on the VIX here. And I've got the studies turned off for now just to make the picture a little bit clearer. But the key thing I'm going to keep watching here is the Dow. Here's the Dow. Let's go in a little bit closer even. You can see the Dow's rallied right back up to its highs here, which really surprises me. I thought here we would take it out. Then I thought, this test, we'll take it out this time. After this candle, here we go. We're going down. And we just rallied right back up. I was actually surprised by that. I thought this just looks like such a topping pattern here. This whole area, really ever since right about here, so the 23rd of November. Look how sideways this has been. It's just been brutal sideways. In fact, we could probably draw a line right in here, right in this area, and you could have yourself, pretty much a range-bound market right there with a few pierces beneath it. Now, I'm just seeing that, just looking at it right now live here. So this 253 area here. So somewhere in here, you can see it's just going up and down, just brutal. Makes it hard, especially for guys like me who trade options. It just eats away at options that are going down on, and that's why I said before, I'm getting away from trading the indices and options right now until we have a clear direction. I'm just going to do stocks for now. If I trade the indices or spiders, Qs, stuff like that, I'm going to have to buy or go short. Anyway, what I'd keep an eye on is the volume. Just look at this volume. Look at this. It's just terrible. I mean, just 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row down. The biggest day had the lowest volume, like I thought. Like I said, lower volume, big days. So now we got to see what's going to happen when we come back with some real volume. I would imagine this would hold and we'd start seeing a movement down with some increased volume, probably some profit taking, who knows what else. But we could power right through this. And if we do, you're going to have to go long. And we're going to have to go long and hold on for the ride. I mean, if you look at the SPX, the S&P, we already broke out. The Dow hasn't broke out yet. But here's our range bound area here. We never did come down and retest this low. You can see we never came down and retested this low. Broke out back above this 50 fib, which I thought would offer a lot more resistance than it did. But again, we had very low volume and broke out on very low volume. That's a move that's really hard for me to trust. In fact, if we look back, pull back in 5 years, you can kind of see what I'm looking at here with the 50 fib. It's right in this area, and like I've said before, I'm not right at the top here. I'm not right at the bottom. So there is some leeway, there's some give there. But this is the area we're looking at. Turn the drawings off. Is right, and you can see we're right here. This is a pretty bullish looking candle this month. Coming back up, and this area here would make a lot of sense too. Right here at this low that we touched, which would be 11. What is that? 1132. So 1131, 1130. That would make a lot of sense to top out there and to see some resistance there. So anyway, here's our drawings back there. Let's go back to the 1 year on that in the daily. So I had a pretty clear breakout, broke out down this trend, down this uptrend line, broke over that. But again, it was all low volume moves. It's really hard for me to trust low volume moves. Here's another one. The NASDAQ had just been on a rip. Look at this thing. It just ripped out of this resistance, which I would call secondary resistance. This I would have called primary resistance, and it blew out of that. So the NASDAQ had been very strong going into the end of December, which isn't too surprising. Just surprising that it did this with the Dow and the S&P holding back. I've been watching the UUP, been watching the Euro, the US dollar. I figured with the UUP breaking down, or getting strong, it would bring this market down. That has not come true so far. But still, you keep an eye on this. Look at this. This is the bear flag I pointed out last week. If you put your studies back in there, it looks real good. Coming off the bottom Bollinger Band. Now you got a bearish engulfing forming off of a doji. Looks like this thing's destined to fall down here back at least to this 200 moving average again. With it, the dollar should be rising. The UUP, and I think it was flat on Thursday if I'm not mistaken. And with the UUP rising, you'd expect a little bit of weakness in the market. Again, low volume. Volume's petering out just like we thought it would, and it may not be all that great of volume this week, but I would expect the first week of January, first couple weeks of January, we're going to see an increase in volume and get a true direction on this market. So I never trust these moves here around the holidays. They always make me nervous. Keep an eye on them. This could be considered, a little bit of a bear flag right here. If we come out of here and here, that's kind of what it looks like to me, a little bear flag action. So I'd expect to move up on the UUP right here off of that. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at. The NASDAQ has taken off. It's kind of taken leadership in what's going on. The Russell, as is normal this time of year, the small caps has taken off and blown out too. And the Russell I thought was the weakest of all. I mean, look at this down move here. The Russell looked the weakest to me of all the indices, and now it's kind of taken off and broken out to new highs. Very unexpected to me, and just cleared away. So I'd be expecting to pull back and see if this holds. If this holds, then I'm going to have to go long. If it pulls back, breaks this, and starts breaking down again, then obviously I'm going to go short. Here's the SPY. I want to throw this up here just to get you a look at that. You can see the volume here is really peaked. It's been down. We had a little spike there on day 2, but very indecisive. What I like about this is you got this broadening pattern right here. It's not the strongest broadening pattern because the bottom's only got a couple touches on it. I'd like to see this one come down here and I'd feel more confident. But the top part is pretty evident, and we're right on that resistance right there. If you can see, if I take the studies off, you'll see it a little bit better. So you can see we just closed right on it. We actually pierced it and closed right on it. Very, very low volume. So I could easily see this move fading and dropping right here. Pretty darn easy. You can see this doji didn't, or this hangman didn't really pan out, just kept on going above it. But this doji here was surely a bottom sign. This one, both these, nothing. So I don't know how much we can trust those right now. And one more before we get into a couple stocks to look at real quick. Here's the Qs. You can see it broke out of this resistance line I have here. When it broke this resistance 4 days ago, it just took off. So obviously would have been a great spot to buy. I did not buy it. I'm not long the Qs. I didn't trade much at all last week. In fact, I'm short a couple positions, which were actually down a little bit. So anyway, but we did break up above this, and it still looks strong. So quickly, let me show you a couple stocks before I run out of time. I'm talking about that stuff way too much. All right, I'm going to show the studies. I like this. This looks like a little bull flag on WFC here. Bounced off of here, trailing back a little bit. So I'd be looking for this maybe to break out to the upside. Very low volume on the side move, but that's normal with a sideways move. I'm more confident in that than I would be in the other ones I've shown you, the indices. Just looking for a breakout. We got a little bit of a descending wedge here. This could break either side, but we could play it either way. So if it breaks to the upside, play it long. If it breaks beneath here, we play it short. That's what I like. I like them. Let's look at another one. Wrong ticker symbol. DOW, Dow. I like this just because it's retesting support here. This is the old support line. It's not a super strong support, but it's decent. So keep an eye on this. Low volume moving up into this up move. It's dissipating. So kind of a bearish divergence. Look for this to hold. Maybe top Bollinger Band in this area. Maybe look for a drop before another attack added up there. And let's see. One more. I think I can squeeze it in. TRA tray. I like this. It's walking off the bottom Bollinger Band, dissipating volume. So you've got a divergence in the volume. I'd like this to drop. I think it's going to retest the 200 moving average soon. So anyway, we're coming into another holiday here, the 1st of January. So low volume makes me suspicious of all moves. I want to see what happens when we see true volume. So be watching for some volume, and we'll see what goes on when we get some real volume. Trade well and prosper. AK out.